Oh, thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to this February 19th, 2025 meeting of council. We're beginning at just a little bit after 6. So to those of you who are being watching from welcome. But watching from not Zoom, but YouTube, from YouTube, thank you by the word. And we have one member of the public present, so I'd like to read this announcement, even though you probably memorized it already, but here we go. So today's meeting is being streamed live on the Town of Annapolis Royal YouTube channel. We have one person present in the gallery today. By attending a public meeting of the council, you are consenting to having your image, voice, and comments recorded. Anyone who's invited to speak will be recorded, and of course your voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream. The chair and or the CAO have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances when deemed relevant. And because it is African Heritage Month, the theme for this month is Legacy in Action, celebrating Black brilliance. Provides us with an opportunity to shine a spotlight on Nova Scotia's rich cultural heritage and the significant contributions of people of African descent. So this month-long celebration invites both visitors and industry professionals to explore and honor the vibrant history of African Nova Scotians, whose influence has shaped the province for over 400 years. This year's theme also aligns with the conclusion of the Second United Nations International Decade for People of African Descent, 2025-2034, encouraging reflection on empowerment and leadership. And I'd like to give hats off to Friends of the Library, Junior Achievement, Descendants of Rose Fortune for pulling off a fabulous event on February 12th, 2025, honoring Rose Fortune at the Hub with a recreation of her photograph in Lego. So youth were involved. It was just a beautiful event. So it's lovely that an event happened in town to honor the month. So call the meeting to order. We have all members of council present. We also have a member of public in attendance. And I'll call for additions to the agenda.
So I have 4 additions to the agenda. Under item 15 in camera, item 3 will be legal matters. Item 4 will be personnel. Item 5 will be legal matters, and item 6 will be legal matters.
Okay, and I have an early agenda. So what is item 2? I guess mine was printed off before the addition.
Public security.
Public security, that's 15-2, right? Okay, thank you very much. If there are no other additions to the agenda, it's approved by unanimous consent. And if there are no changes to the minutes, and these are the minutes of council meeting of January 22nd, 2025. So no changes, that minutes are also approved by unanimous consent. Okay. And we have no presentations this evening, but we do have some public input. So Roger, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
You're on.
I'm going to invoke some phraseology. Hopefully the imagery will help. I'm going to start with, it's a slippery slope.
Everywhere these days.
Seems seasonally appropriate. I'll move to the devil's in the details. And I'll finish up with, be careful what you wish for. Specifically, it's a slippery slope. I want to call back to the rules of order and meeting process training notes that were presented at the last committee of the whole meeting. Specifically items 11 and 12. 11 is after an agenda package has gone out Thursday before each meeting. Agenda items can only be added with council approval and 48 hours notice. And there's a C item, I think, that's either missing or the C is a typo. Either way, it seems that item 11 is going to constrain the good work of the council and staff. I hope that there's a way that you might allow for yourselves the opportunity to put an agenda item in outside of this phraseology. You need that freedom. Brings us to number 12. I think you're asking for too much freedom. Without a definition, a quantitative definition of what non-substantive correspondence or information might be, I think it opens you up to at least some level of scrutiny that may not be deserved. So the bonus imagery is that I think generally we all want to have the good work of the town people to be done in the open light of day. Most of the devil's in the details. Brought up in today's package, I noticed that you are posting a letter from John Lohr and a subsequent one from Pam Mood. I want to, as a resident, say that at least I feel strongly that the messaging in the Mood letter is appropriate and may even be taken further. I hope that you resist the suggestions that are made by Minister Lohr. And I'll finish up with, be careful what you wish for. Always a cautious item, I think. I'll tell you that when I first moved to town, I was hoping for a chance to use our sidewalks in the winter time. And I'll tell you, this week, the last 10 days even, I know that our public works crew has been strained and they have responded. I can tell when I go for a walk each day, they've responded fabulously, and I want to give a shout out to that crew. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Well, thank you, and we'll certainly take that into consideration. And I took some notes, but if I miss anything, I'm sure somebody will. And thank you for fitting into our time slot. Okay, so we'll carry on with new business. We have a quarterly finance update, and we have our director of finance with us. Thank you, Melanie.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to share my screen here. I assume you can see my screen. And is it large enough for you? Can't really hear you. Can you guys hear?
Can you try 150%?
Yeah, I can't read it from here and I have my glasses on.
How's that?
There, now I can read it. Yeah.
All right. So this is the first time with this council that I'm doing this. I think I might have done the Q2 in October, but so this is the budget that was passed by the previous council. The current month is any monies we've received or spent in the current month. Fiscal year to date is where we are physically, or actually, that's actual. The year to date budget is where I thought we would be year to date by now. The fourth column is the percentage used. The fifth column is the prior year to date, where we actually were last year this time. And then the last column is our budget. That's our overall budget. So you can see the annual budget for taxes is where we expect it to be. There's no more tax bills going out until a new budget year. So the taxes, we're going to do the revenue first, and then we'll do the expenses. So for the fiscal year to date taxes were down slightly from budget due to some successful appeals. And also in this account is an HST offset, and it came in slightly higher. All in all, everything's flat. Sorry, I've got something falling over here. Okay, so all together it was flat, 1.59, 1.59. Grants in lieu were flush. They were flat, 475 versus 474, and that would be like our Nova Scotia Power. We get a grant for the courthouse and things like that. Services to other governments, 31,950 versus 46,950. So we do police checks with a contract with Triton, and they're below where we expected they would be. We thought they would be about 15,000 higher. I can expect that to carry on for the rest of the year. Conditional transfers, there was a question, a very good question today about this, the 324. Well, 323 of that is actually a transfer that we expect to make from the operating budget, from the operating reserves to bring it into this budget. If we don't have to do it, I'm not going to bring it in, but to flush this budget out when we were doing it and to make it work, we had to bring some money in. Some of that was for paving, but we've since received a grant for the paving and other things, so we probably won't have to bring that in. I hope we don't, and it'll stay sitting in our operating reserve.
That'd be good news.
Yeah, it's good news. License and permit 6927 versus 5534. That's just where we are. Building fees are above budget. It's just coming in higher than we thought. Fines are what they are. For the last few years, they've been running around 6,000 to 8,000, but this year they're sitting at 1851. That's what they are. Rentals, lease, sales. Why the difference? So they're 33.8 versus 37.5. That's the wharf. It's about $5,000. So before the boat haul up, when the boat haul up was owned by the boat haul up and not Hicks, we always got some mooring fees and things. Now we don't get that anymore. But besides that, the wharf is shut down at the moment anyway. So those revenues aren't coming in and they were budgeted. Return on investments is where we thought we would be. We thought overall for the year we'd get 30,000, but the end of December we're at 30.7. So that'll be even higher. That's just our return on the money that's sitting in our bank accounts right now. I don't actually have any investments done, but once the new budget's passed, I will come back to you with some investment opportunities. Penalty and interest on taxes. That's just we take the amount that's owing at the time of the budget and times it, we make an estimate based on past history, but 14.5 is where we're sitting right now, the end of December. So
Melanie, could you scroll up a little bit, just where the talk to text, it's kind of just blocking out some of those lines?
So when we're looking
Yeah.
at it, we can't see the bottom lines of the chart because of the text box on the Zoom chat or the Zoom window.
okay, is it okay now?
There we go. Yeah.
Yep, great, yeah.
Sorry about that. Yep. It's probably because I enlarged it. So then concessions and franchises, that is D-transfer. So D-transfer for the end of December was $36,000 more than what we thought it would be, and at the budget time. And also we received another 17,000 from Valley Waste. We received it during our audit, our final audit last year. So the auditors agreed to put that 17,000 into this year because otherwise they'd have to redo the statements. So that's what that is. D-transfer, I think it's well over where we thought it would be even now. And I think there's 2 more properties that have sold before March 31st. Recreation, that was one of Noah's grants that he applied for. It never was received. So that's why that's a little bit lower. The marketing, we've received all kinds of grants since we passed the budget. FRIP, flood risk, community works, beautification, civil forfeiture, MIP funding. All of those were not included at the time we passed the budget.
Sorry, Melanie, could you go back to recreation for a minute?
Absolutely.
I didn't think we showed grants unless the money came in, so what happened there?
One of Noah's grants that he had budgeted, it didn't come through. So he just, in recreation, he applies for a number of budgets, a number of grants, and if he gets them, he budgets for the expenditures. But in this case, one of the grants that he applied for did not come through. He thought it was going to come through and it didn't.
Okay, yeah, sure thing. Yeah, thank you.
So our revenue, we thought it would be at 2.5 and it's actually at 2.7 at the end of December. Any questions about the revenue? Okay, now we're gonna move on to the expenditures. So again, this is the money we brought in this month. This is where we are year to date. This is where we thought we would be. This is where we were this time last year, and this column is our overall budget for the year. So legislatively, there's something there. We budgeted for errors and omissions, but that got lumped into liability insurance. So that's $4,000 expenditure that we're not going to have. And also engineering, some of the engineering for the FRIP, the studies and things are going to get transferred into another budget year. So the FRIP, the money that we did receive for FRIP is probably not going to happen this year, and we'll move it into another budget year. So that's why the 117 versus 138, that's the bulk of it. General administrative is flat, 169 versus 169. Taxation, 32 versus 58. We did plan some things like painting of town hall and some other repairs that never happened. That's what was included in there, and that's not going to happen this budget year. So general administrative is pretty much flat, 29 versus 32. So we thought we would have spent 398,000 by now. We've spent 347. The police protections, that's labor and things like that. That's pretty much flat. The law enforcement, the answering service for dispatch, it's a little bit lower than where I thought it would be. But I suspect at this point, it's just a timing difference. And that invoice will come in. Fire protection, that's pretty much flat, 140 versus 138. Emergency measures, there was one thing that we didn't really have in the budget. We had applied for a grant and then we had submitted the final grant, but an invoice came in after the fact, and that was just the commissioning of the generator at the comfort center. So that's where we put that for now. Trees and animals, 22 versus 26. That is tree removal budget is a little bit below where we thought it would be. So that's what's driving that. So in this,
Just a question, sorry, just a question, the tree canopy money, does that just show up next year?
that shows up next year. Yeah, that's in next year's budget. Yeah,
Okay,
right, Sandy?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So we thought we would be at 555.6. We're actually at 554.1. Transportation, so the 117 versus the 138. There are small variances here and there. There's a lot of different accounts in here. I'm thinking it's timing difference only. One of the things that I did note was we did expect to paint the Public Works building. That didn't happen. And the backhoe costs are up, but labor overall is below budget. So it's a bunch of different little things, but I expect overall that will end exactly where it's supposed to be. The road transport, the 587 versus the 596, the street maintenance budget slightly below. And but of course we went over in one of our asphalt, the overall paving, we went over slightly. So all in all, it looks pretty good. We expected to spend 734, we've spent 705. Environmental health, this is sewage lagoons and whatnot. So the first one, 158 versus 202. That is maintenance on the sewage lagoons. It's below budget, but when I spoke with the Public Works super, it says by year end that will be spent. We are working on the repairs to the lagoon. Garbage disposal, there's not really much difference there, 74 versus 73.8. So right now we thought we would, the end of December, we thought we'd be at 276 and we're at 233. Everything's coming in below budget. Recreation and marketing. So this is NOAA and 55.5 versus 64.9. Again, remember up above, he didn't get a grant that he thought he was going to get. So that reduces some of the costs here. If he had the grant, he would have spent the money below. But also facility maintenance repairs are below. as some of this was contingent on trail work done, and no, I did not attend a conference this year that we had budgeted. And that's basically what that is. It's repairs and maintenance. And I think a lot of that ended up, a lot of his costs were capitalized in the playground. And then there's the marketing, 55.7 versus 40.3. Well, up above in the marketing, we received a grant for beautification. So there's $12,000 sitting in this account that relates to beautification. That wasn't budgeted, so the revenue wasn't budgeted and the expense wasn't budgeted, but it's overall a wash. So we thought we'd be at 105, we're at 111. Cultural services, this is the library and things like that. 19.5 versus 17. So the library costs are coming in higher than budgeted. That's exactly what that is. Economic development, 95.7 versus 84.7. This is the comfort center costs are coming in below budget. That's the bus garage, and that's likely due to no VIC this year because a few years when they were there, for whatever reason, the heat pumps got put on and things like that. So I don't know. I'm just assuming. And the economic development coordinator grant is currently in there, and that's sitting just over $20,000 right there. So that's what makes up those. Fiscal services is our debt load. It's below, it's 43 versus 46.9. And that's because they refunded, the Bank of Nova Scotia refunded us a couple $1,000s for a check scanner. When the bank closed, we had to buy a check scanner so that we can scan the checks and they go right into our bank. But there was a huge problem setting it up. And so they decided to refund us that cost. So we'll see that variance carry on till the end of the year. Transfers to our own reserve. So we took money out of this budget and transferred it to the reserves, 256. And that was to do the paving. Sorry, that was not to do the paving. I just need to look, just bear with me for a minute. Transfer to unreserves. I've got all the details here. Yeah, no, that's the, just bear with me for 1 sec, sorry. No, that's the money that we transfer to the capital reserve. So that money we did transfer to the capital reserve. And every year in our operating budget, we choose whatever money we can. We always try to put as much away as we can into the capital for future capital expenditures. Unconditional transfers, 201 versus 209. So in this number, there was seniors housing and correctional services. We budgeted for them and then we found out after the fact that we don't have to pay them anymore. So that's going to carry on for the rest of the year. So all in all, at the end of December, we thought we would have a deficit or a perceived deficit of 183. But actually, come the end of December, we have a positive surplus of 106. So everything is very good with our town operating. That's it. Sorry.
We can afford salt, Amory said.
You can afford salt. Yeah, you absolutely can. Yeah. So are there any?
I just want to.
Yes, a question
Yeah.
from Councillor McDonald.
I know this isn't the year end, but just for example, if that 106,471 carried through to the year end, where does that go at the end of the year?
So you're not allowed to have a surplus. So
Exactly.
what happens with that money is it goes into an operating reserve. And
Okay.
I think the operating reserve today is upwards of $1 million.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where that is.
Now, one last question about that. So it has to go into an operating reserve. Does it have to go into the operating reserve or can it go into the infrastructure deficit?
No, Oh,
No, have to.
if there was a deficit, we have to fund for the deficit. You have to rate for a deficit a following year. We've never had a deficit.
No,
That's
that,
not what you're asking.
yeah, that's not what I'm asking. I probably used the wrong language.
No, but you're right.
You
Like,
wanted to know if it could go to a capital reserve instead of operating
No.
reserve.
No,
Yes,
cannot.
thank you.
it cannot.
Okay, and the answer is no. Okay, thank you.
However, having said that, there's ways to, in another budget year, to get that money into a capital reserve. So for
Okay.
instance, up above, you'll recall, you saw this, bringing this in from this money right here. We're
Mhm.
bringing that, we plan to bring that in from the operating reserve, bring it in here.
Yeah,
And then we're sending money here over to the capital reserves. So
okay.
there is a way to do it, but you have to do it,
Mhm.
you have to do it the proper channel.
Yes, okay, thank you. Thank you for,
Any surplus from a year end has to go to an operating reserve. It's the legislation. That's how it's written.
thank you for explaining that.
You're
it's
welcome.
called follow the money, right?
Good,
follow the
good, very
money.
good questions, though. So are you ready for me to stop this one and bring up the quarterly?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep. So what I've got is I've got the general capital and the water capital merged together here, just to make it easy for myself. But any 04, any account that starts with an 04, that means it's a general capital. And if it starts with an 03, it means it's a water capital. They are two distinct set of books and two distinct set of bank accounts. But for the purpose of this presentation, I combine them. So this is the budget that was passed. And as of the end of December, this is where we were. So you probably all know that we're getting a brand new playground. So the end of December, only 52,000 of the 100 was spent, but I can tell you a lot more has been spent now because it's now almost the end of February. And then the lift stations, I've got two. I've got Wetlands and Riverview Drive, and then down below I got Wetlands here. One is over, one is below, but collectively they're bang on. So I'm not worried over that. We got a new town hall commercial panel. There is a motion in your package. The solar panels at the sewage treatment plant. We thought there's only 118 left over, but there's actually 139 some, because one of the invoices we received didn't have HST on it. So we get 71.4% back of the HST. So it was an error on whoever invoiced us. And so there is a motion you'll see, and it's just to increase this budget line. That's all. The police got new radios. We budgeted 22. They came in at 19.9. They got a new car. We budgeted 16. It came in at 70. We got a new side-by-side. We budgeted 15. It came in at 51. This is the money that went to the pool from the gas tax. We got a new water meter system, and that's water capital. So we budgeted 18.2. It came in at 18,177. And then the water main saddles, we have a few more water main saddles to do. This has been going on for a couple of years now. We budgeted 28 to tidy up and finish the rest of them, but the people that do that, they've been tied up in Cornwallis at the all the repairs down there by Frank and Dora's, so they're not able to get to us. So that'll get pushed into another year. So
will that double?
it shouldn't double, no.
This is the end of the project?
We might not
This
even
is-
proceed
yeah.
with the last ones. Because
Yeah.
we were proactive and we're changing, I think we did 2 years.
We
of
did.
Recycling them,
Yeah.
or changing them out.
Yeah.
And I think we're good for a while now.
Yeah.
So the 28,000 will just be for the next year?
No, I don't think we'll need it.
If
No,
not,
because
if
what
not,
was
it
it
stays
below
in
it?
it stays in the water capital bank account.
Okay,
It won't disappear.
okay.
No, it won't disappear, no.
So
So,
does that complete the water saddle repairs?
That 28,000,
28,000.
if we do them, they'll all be done. It's my understanding, every single one of them. But as Sandy said, we've done the ones that need to be repaired. We were being proactive and going along and repairing all of them. So the end of December, our budget, our year-to-date budget, our yearly budget was 494.2 for water and capital, and we'd spent 398. So you'll see this again in March, when we're done March.
Just another month to go. Mhm.
Yeah,
Can I ask another question? The lift station, you have wetlands in 2 places?
yeah, wetlands and Riverview Drive. One is a lift station pump and one is a rebuild of a whole new lift of a lift station.
So the second one is the rebuild?
Yep,
Correct, at wetlands,
Okay.
yes.
yep. Any further questions there before I take you to the water operating?
Oh, can I just ask about the playground?
Oh, absolutely.
Is, is 100,000 budgeted for the completion of the project?
I think we have a little bit more than 100,000 because we also had a little bit of I forget what you call that, Sandy, you know, when people donate.
We had Canada Helps, we had.
Canada
Yeah.
Helps. We've got a little bit of Canada Helps money as well.
And I think we're applying for another grant.
Yeah, 100,000 is not a lot for playground.
No, but we're very fiscally minded,
Yeah.
so. Yeah, we had 2 grants for the playground.
Good.
So we had the federal accessibility grant and then we had a provincial grant. So we've stacking them.
But this isn't where we would
That's
see, this is not where we would
nothing
see the
grand.
total,
No,
of the
yeah.
project,
Okay.
yeah.
That was just.
Okay,
what
that
was
just seemed
budgeted.
really low.
Yeah.
Yeah. We mix and match where we can. We try to, like Sandy says, we try to
Maybe
stack.
accounting.
Yeah.
You know, I better be careful what I.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we had,
It's
yeah.
not creative.
No, no, but-
It's thorough and detailed.
Yes, that's better.
Yeah. I was just
No,
looking
I
at.
like that presentation, it makes it easier to follow. Yeah,
And can I just ask, solar panels, is that the same story? Is that 118 for completion of that project?
We're
Yeah,
still working.
Okay.
yes, it'll be 139. There'll be a motion later on. It should have been 139. But yes, that's for the completion of the program. And it was over 2 years. The amount that we received was 249. So,
Okay.
yeah, it was over 2 years.
So the last piece is to put up the tower for the internet over there.
Right.
So that the UV can have to be connected to the internet, so you can go in at any point and see how
Everything's
everything's
performing.
performing and what the stats are.
Okay. So no interruptions for power outages at the sewer plant.
I'm not gonna go that far.
Okay.
But that's the whole
This whole-
point of it,
Yeah.
yeah, so that everything, but we do have a propane, not a propane generator, but we also have a generator, is it propane? We also have a generator up there so it flips over and yeah, should
There's backups to the backup.
Back up to
basically.
backup.
Which when you're
You don't
talking
want this
sewer and sewage,
Right?
you really want that.
Yes.
Between backup and redundancy.
Especially in the summertime.
Yes.
Okay, so are we done with this one? Any more questions?
No good question.
Okay, all right. Now. Oh yeah, I've got to try to share my screen here again. Whoops. Okay, oh, I've got to bring it over, that's why. get there, sorry. Okay, so it's over here. So. I don't really, I'm having. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah,
Yeah, very
Okay,
tiny.
so it is tiny, and this unfortunately I can't enlarge.
it's,
I know, but it's still tiny.
you can, oh, you
Yeah.
can't do that. You can do that.
I can actually.
You should be able to.
Oh, that's the wrong one, sorry. Sorry, hang on.
Just can't see across now.
When I have to go back and forth between this and my laptop, I'm constantly
It's-
trying to expand things where I can.
Yeah. There's where I want, right here. There. So, can you see that? And this is in your package as well.
Yeah.
I can try to make it a little bigger.
Yeah.
Is that better? A little bit
A
better?
little more, a little more,
There. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I'll just have to do some scrolling, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
Yeah.
So this is our water utility, which is completely separate from water capital, from general capital, from any of the reserves and from town operating. And of course, this is governed by the Utility Review Board of Nova Scotia. Our rates are set. We have a hearing and they approve the rates. It's a long, tedious process. But anyway, it's fair and equitable. So this we budgeted is the same thing. The current month is what we would have spent, what we would have brought in income or spent. This is our fiscal year to date where we actually are. Year to date budgets where I thought we would be. This is a percentage used. This is our prior year to date, and this is our annual budget. So for the end of December, we thought our revenues for metered residential sales would be 122.6. They came in at 124.1. A little bit higher. Metered commercial, we thought they'd be at 82.5. They came in at 79.6. So for the most part, that's considered flat. Fire protection hydrant, that's money that the town operating has to give to the water utility for our meters. Sprinkler service, we budgeted 1,200. We got 1,200. Interest on sales, we budgeted 1.125, came in at 1.161. Non-operating revenue, we budgeted 1874, came in at 1226. That could be miscellaneous interest. It could be, some things that, little parts that we sold to a customer, whatnot. And then the interest on the bank, we thought it would be 6.4, it came in at 6.889. That's the end of December. So for the most part, we thought we would have revenues of 325,905, but they came in at 324,5. Again, that would be considered flat. That's 99.57, pretty close to 100. Any questions there? And as you know, our bills go out 4 times a year, so the end of next month, we'll have another quarterly bill go out. And that will bring us pretty close to the 163.5 and the 110 that we thought we would end the year with. Then we come to our expenditures, and we buy our water from the county. It comes across the causeway here. We thought we'd be at 81 the end of December. We're at 81,608. That's what we paid the county. And I do know that they are going to be looking to up the rates again. So they're looking to do, I think they're involved in a water rate study as we speak. This is our Nova Scotia Power, our other pumping, our chemicals, maintenance, repair. We didn't budget anything for Lakeel Water Storage Tower, but we did have to spend a little bit of money there. Water testing, we budgeted 10,125, came in at 10,674. Water lines maintenance expense, we budgeted 19.5, it's come in at 20.1. Fire hydrant maintenance, you get to see what we thought and where we are. Public works salaries, we thought we'd be at 40, we're at 36. You probably know we've had some challenges in the public works with staffing, but we're getting that back up to speed. EI, CPP, medical, they are what they are. Pension. Then we go to the benefits, the training expense. Training expense is up because we've had to get a lot more training done than we thought. We've had to put a rush on that. General shop expenses, we budgeted 7.3, we're at 3.6, and some of these are a function of the town operating. So a lot of things like, for instance, the phones, we share the phones. 65% of the cost of the phones go to the town operating, 35% get charged to the water utility. If we cease to be a town, we would still have the Annapolis Rural Water Utility, and we'd still have to have a brick and mortar somewhere, a place to work from. We would still have a lot of the expenses that go on today, whether we had a town operating or not. The building
Not
insurance.
to say that we're going in that
Oh,
direction.
no.
Just
But
clear
just-
that up.
Just so that you
Now.
just so that you understand, this is completely separate. This is completely separate from all the other. And the admin salary is 58 versus 61. As you know, we've had to bring one of our admin employees in a little more than we planned. More than what we budgeted, and I think you had a motion last month or the month before at council to cover that.
Yeah, to meet the extra workload.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it did take a lot, to be honest, when we did the new water reader, that took a lot of time. So we're still working on that actually. And the general office expense, 9.7 versus 15.4, and then we've got 19.3 versus 17. Some of those are like the general office expense and the other expense building. Some of that would be the insurance. Again, we take 35% of the overall insurance of the building and the square footage that belongs to admin, charge it back to the water utility and things like that, the heat, the lights. We haven't had any auditor expense yet or legal expense. The Board of Public Utilities, that invoice comes in at the end of the year. The depreciation will be booked next month. It's booked once a year. That's the depreciation on our capital assets, water capital assets. And this is our debt load, CMHC. And
Canadian Mortgage Housing Corporation,
Yep.
right?
yep.
It's still around, yeah.
So that one's soon coming to an end, I believe. I think it's got one more year.
Must,
Yeah. So
Melanie, oh, sorry, I forgot, but why did we budget for a deficit? Like, I forget.
why did we?
Yeah,
Because we know we need to do a water utility. We need to do a water rate study. Our rates,
okay. So
they're not
the rates are not
covering it.
sufficient.
And the last council didn't vote to have a water rate study. So we're going to have one. So yeah, we budgeted for a deficit, and you can, I mean, I can't make sales that don't exist. And but we had been biding our time, and it worked really well because we haven't had a water rate hearing study done here for years. We bided our time, and it worked well because we opened up all those new accounts at the academy.
Yeah.
Then Forshey Mills was built. And now we've got new sales coming on stream at Royal Estates. But it's still not enough. It's still lagging. So we thought we would, at the end of December, we thought we'd be at 34,662 surplus, and we're actually at 34,898. So we're pretty much flat right where we thought we would be. So we probably will have a deficit at the end of the year. And
Not a
this,
huge one.
yeah, this is not any surprise or anything. This is the budget that the last council passed.
Councilor McDonald, what's the question?
So I have just one question in relationship to the water rate study. So you said that the county is going through theirs right now?
I believe they are having one done right now.
And so when when they do theirs, that will increase, if they get an increase to their water rate, that will increase our costs from them.
Yes, it will.
Which would be the right perfect timing to trigger if I'm understanding this correctly, to then trigger our own water rate study at that time. Because then that would account, we'd be able to account for the increase from the county plus the deficit that we've been dealing with.
Yeah.
Am I understand? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was
You're
understanding.
understanding that perfectly. And
Okay.
so in our, if you went on our website and looked at our last audited financial statements,
Mhm.
so the town has had the water operating, the Annapolis Rural Water Utility has had a surplus for a number of years. That surplus still exists, but it's being chipped away at with a small deficit year after year.
Yeah,
So
okay.
the Utility Review Board are probably not gonna come after us until that black line turns to official red. Right
Yeah.
now, for the last few years, it's been able to absorb these small deficits.
But it's prudent on our part to take action before they come
Yeah,
to us.
absolutely.
Okay.
How long do water rate studies take to?
They usually take from start to finish about 6 to 7 months.
Okay.
So the rates wouldn't go into effect if you did a rate study now, they wouldn't probably, by the time you get a hearing booked and get the study done, they wouldn't go into effect probably until April 1st, 2026. Did I lose you guys?
Nope.
No, we're all making
Okay.
notes.
Okay.
Something else.
Sorry,
was
when I'm
happening.
sharing my screen, I can't see anybody, so I thought, oh, maybe I lost them. Yeah,
No, that's great. And actually, yeah, thank you, Mel. It was all really nice and clear.
yeah. I mean, everything is really good again. I mean, we're fiscally responsible.
Don't you like?
And frugal.
And frugal, yes, we are frugal.
So I think you have a proposed amendment then next.
Yeah,
Capital budget.
yeah. And that was at 118 from the solar panels. Should have been 139. I think the motion, Sandy has a motion there.
That's the first one we had to cross out.
Yeah, no, we've got it here, yeah, okay. So we've all got the last line crossed out,
Yes.
there, okay, so would someone care to make a motion?
I move the council approve to amend the 2024-2025 general capital budget from $448,000 to $461,941.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you very much, Melanie. And, okay, so the next is equipment replacement.
And that's Melanie as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is, we review this every year and update the numbers, the age, the kilometers or the hours and score them every year. So there's nothing to be replaced this year. And there were a couple questions and I always appreciate the questions before the meeting, so thank you for those. And yes, in Appendix A, the F-550 truck, it does qualify for replacement, but it doesn't mean that it needs to be replaced. And at this point, it doesn't need to be replaced. But we did spend a chunk of change, $5,000 this past year. But that should do us. We'll see if it starts happening like that. Yeah, then we'll move it up the chain. And then there was another question about our ride-on tractor, zero turn. We actually have 2 ride-on tractors. One is fairly new. One we kept because there was no value in we couldn't resell it, so we kept it. And that's a 2015 Kubota zero turn mower. And yes, that qualifies for replacement. It was not ever our intention to replace it. It's just in here because we had it and then we bought a new one in 2022.
So we'll
you're just
basically,
using it till it
yeah.
goes into the ground.
yeah, use it till it dies.
Yeah, that's all that was there for. And like our 2022, that mower, when it becomes close to 8 years, that's when we'll replace it.
Okay.
So Appendix B, the little asterisk at the very last page, the little asterisk shows you the year of anticipated replacement. And we update the dollar values and divide them by the number of years and things like that, so that we always tuck money away for this kind of stuff. And on March 3rd, you'll see the amount that's been tucked away because of this policy. We started this policy, I don't know how long ago, I think 2015, but it's been a great policy. And every council passes it around this time of year. And usually we would have passed it earlier because we would have wanted to get some quotes, but there's nothing, we're not replacing anything this year. So that's the capital equipment replacement. It gets passed and we live with it. And we amend it every year.
You're gonna ask for the fire truck.
Yeah, good question. What about the fire truck?
So the fire truck is not in the capital equipment replacement policy, but we do tuck away money every year for the fire truck. We tried to include it in here and it really didn't fit because we don't have control of that fire truck.
Mhm.
So for us trying to determine the type of service, the reliability, the maintenance, the condition, we don't
Sure.
control it, they do. So they tell us how much money they need and over a 10-year period or whatever, and that's what so I think right now we've got
Financing it, right? We're financing the vehicle or our share of the vehicle?
our share of the vehicle, yes.
So that's a separate financing arrangement, which we've discussed together, yeah. But thanks for clarifying that. Yeah. Okay, so are there any more questions for Melanie? Again, there's a motion here. Somebody would care to make it for equipment replacement?
I'll move that council approve Appendix B of the equipment replacement policy, number 2015-1 for the fiscal year 2025-2026 for a total amount of $72,000.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none? All in favor? Aye, motion carried. Thank you very much, Melanie.
You're welcome.
Great. Well, hope you enjoy the rest of your evening
Thank you.
without further precipitation.
Yeah, I know. Good night, folks.
Watch out for the slippery slopes.
Yeah, I know. I will.
Thanks.
The Zoom is all updated and I leave a whole different way now. It's kind of cool. There's a little door and a little man and out I go.
Oh. Lovely. Okay, thank you very much. All right, rolling through our agenda. The next item is the Nova Scotia Federation Municipalities Spring Conference. Everyone's received it. Is there interest from anyone in attending the spring conference?
I've been requested to attend, and so I would like to attend. They also have one of the NSFM board meetings happens at the beginning of that conference as well.
And they don't pay for your accommodations, but they book it for you.
Yes, which is very odd. They
Right.
don't pay for the accommodations, but they book it for me and then I provide Sandy with the information.
Yeah, so
It's the same arrangement essentially, but I just have to go through them as opposed to you booking, which is weird.
and I have 3 rooms on hold.
Okay,
So
so you've
just,
got one.
yeah,
So
and then-
one's booked.
yeah, and then usually I go, and then I know you 2 work, but I didn't know if Sybil was interested in going again this year or not. And and you, but you usually don't go. You're, more than welcome.
They don't want me in the room. It's okay.
Can I come back to you? I just need to check.
Yes,
She's
yeah,
got 3
so,
rooms retained.
yeah, so, and then that way,
And
I found it really valuable and interesting last time, but I don't wanna.
Yeah, but it's networking too. Yeah, there's all kinds of benefits.
And I think I would just note that you and I, out of the 4 council people, are probably the only ones who will ever be able to go to these.
Never say never.
Well, not, yeah, exactly, not ever, but I just mean that currently.
In the foreseeable future.
Yeah, because these 2 are unable to go due to the way it's scheduled. But, I agree with you. I found great benefit from the training one.
Good, so that's
Yeah,
April
that
30th to
first
May
one.
2nd.
Yeah,
we
so
won't
just let me
look
know.
For you then.
Yeah.
and I will look after it.
And so you said you had 3,
But
but.
so I'm gonna cancel.
Yeah,
yours,
cancel
but
the one for me
I didn't
already.
wanna phone in and cancel. I was just waiting to see if
Yeah.
I'm just canceling 2 or canceling 1. So,
Okay, great. Lovely. Next is a request for decision. You've got the RFP here for the budget increase. Actually, more than RFP.
So this is a request to purchase more salt. The budget that you seen earlier was only up to December. We have spent our budget. I did approve Public Works to order a load of salt Friday, which came in Sunday. So we are over budget. So the requested proposal was for $10,000, but after the storm this past weekend, we're thinking that we're still gonna need 15,000. So just looking for that additional funds for salt, do the brother.
Any questions, Big Sandy, on the issue of salt, which are salt thefts are up in town, what can I say?
It's a Mother Nature issue.
Okay, so do we have a mover for the motion?
I'll move it. I move that council approve an additional 15,000 in GL 01-23237Z for the purchase of salt in the general operating 2024-2025 budget.
Thank you. And I'll ask for a vote, all in favor? Aye, motion carried. Lovely. What do you mean there's nothing under unfinished business? Okay, moving right along, we'll go to recommendations. Oh, no wonder, I thought, what am I doing? I'm on reports. This is page 2. Okay, so who wants to start?
I can start. So I move that council approve to extend the closure of the wharf for another 2 months ending April 30th, 2025. Can be revisited if necessary.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I'll move the council approves for the town to close the Annapolis Road Wharf to all commercial fishing and mooring.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I'll move that council approve to install galvanized black vinyl coated steel wired fencing and signage on the 2/3 part of the wharf and replace wooden curb stops on the other third of the wharf.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I move that council pre-approve from the 2025-2026 operating budget up to $22,500, including HST, for the purchase and installation of fencing, signage, and wooden curb stops for the wharf.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I move that council approve the cross connection and backflow prevention policy number 2025-03 dated February 2025.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I move council approve the repeal and approve the repeal and replace the policy establishing the audit committee number 2019-01 with the audit committee policy number 2025-04 dated February 2025.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I move that council approve the terms of reference for the Deer Task Team dated February 2025.
I'll second that.
January.
February?
Oh, okay, I've got, it says January 1, sorry, maybe I printed it earlier.
No, actually, at tab 10, I've got February 2025.
Okay, then,
Yeah, I do have February on my copy. I know there were previous edition.
I
yeah.
have January in mind.
I have February on mine.
There are different versions. So this one, tab 10 is clearly February. Okay, so we're good.
With the February.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I think that motion was carried. Okay. We can't go too fast. We'll get in here. Okay, Planning and Heritage Advisory Committee, who's making that?
That council gives the applicant of 430 St. George Street heritage approval to change the garage door to a steel door and add a door in place of a window, install a deck and privacy screen at the rear of the property as detailed in application 25-02-HER, providing all conditions of the land use bylaws are met.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay, excellent. All right, we're on to reports. And it's just after 7. So on my mayor's report, you have it. I'll briefly go through the IMFA meeting was this morning. And so I'll just give you the highlights. Diesel fuel costs for King's Transit are up. Constitute 11 to 16% of their budget. So just to give you an idea, that's 437,000 for fuel this year, every year. So it's a big piece. Ridership numbers are down, but for 2 reasons. One is they don't count transfers anymore in the ridership numbers, and that was about 10% historically. The other 8% is attributed to snow days and road closures, of which there are being too many to count. Budget's on track. Moving to Valley Waste, the Regional Chairs Committee, this is a very unusual committee, but it's all the solid waste people in the province. They requested clarification of the proper disposal of invasive plant species as organic waste. So it's technically banned from landfill disposal. NSCCC is providing some best practices, but didn't confirm if all species are permitted in the landfills. So they're sending a letter to the Department of Natural Resources for direction, but they've received very poor direction. That's an issue. But Valley Waste did receive an award, Leader in Sustainability in Canada for 2024 by Call to Recycle, the producer responsibility organization managing and regulating battery recycling. So we're a leader in battery recycling. Valley Waste sorted and shipped 8,124 kilograms of batteries through the program in 2024, and their budget's on track. And the next IMSA meeting is March 25th at the unusual time of 3 p.m. That's it for my mayor's report. CIO's report. Did you have questions for Sandy?
Very deep.
Busy month.
Yeah.
Lots of work on different group meetings, OH&S.
Questions for me?
No questions? Okay.
Has the Remo meeting been changed officially? From March 13th to 20th?
I think I seen that today.
I think
Did it
it's on
change?
too, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, what is, I couldn't find CCC, your webinar community of practice meeting for natural asset management, CCC, what's that?
Community
Your first
climate
item, your first
capacity?
webinar.
Yeah, that's the community, that's the group from Clean Foundation.
That's from Clean Foundation?
Yeah.
But, so how was that seminar? Because it was a natural asset management thing. So how was that?
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Was it useful?
Depends.
All right. Okay. And then we move on to tab 14. You've got the planning report. Nice estimated value on the bottom. Tab 15 was in small print, but I made out the word absent. Then we have a tab 16. Any questions for Councillor McDonald's report? Look at that. I guess it was complete. Oh, I love the first paragraph. Marketing plan, something we could work with. Yeah. Anyway. And I see the twinning report is there on the bottom. All right. Oh, I know the Dugard de Monde Day and your Bastille Day. So I guess that'll come up at budget if there's anything to require, like.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just gonna make a.
But it'd be true.
So-
I think that's what
I'll
Christine
donate a
Weaver
cake.
did. And if you're looking for the sword, it is at Christine's place.
Okay.
Okay, just in case you want to cut the cake. Okay,
Okay, perfect.
and we have a report on PHAC at tab 17. Okay, no questions there. Tab 18 is Friends of the Pool, and they gave their report. Anything more on all 18? Oh, sorry, I went too fast. I'll back up here. Board of Police, meeting, library report,
Meeting is tomorrow.
meeting is tomorrow. So that's-
That's my report.
I did my report already for IMSA, you've got that, and they will produce a meeting minutes. It's just that this morning I had time after to write it out, but you will get a more thorough report from them. Environment Advisory Committee,
And I sent a report through, just it was late because it was Friday
After
after.
the,
yeah. Is there anything you wanted to say about it, just while we're in open forum?
Not that I can think
Yeah. Okay, so we can all go read it there.
of. Yeah,
Okay. The condo board, it was included in my mayor's report. And then Friends of the Pool Society, very complete report from them. Lovely. Great
So there's the
report.
correspondence.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yours is the,
Yeah.
but that was a good report too. Didn't have any
It was-
questions.
That's right. Everything was there. And then the audit committee, we have a report, tab 19. Okay,
and we're still looking for members to sit on the audit committee and environment committee, if anybody is interested. Roger.
okay.
I sent somebody regarding the environment committee. I don't know if
you
she's
should
got.
have received at least one email from people that I wrote to.
That's good.
Not yet, I'll get after them.
Unless it came to this afternoon, I've
I'll
got
remind
35
them, yeah.
emails waiting.
Well, that's good that these committee posts are getting filled. Okay, good. So that brings us down to correspondence and a very popular letter from,
That was a
Yes.
big sigh. I shouldn't sigh that heavy.
so we all received, of course, a letter from Pam Mood as president of it.
Yes.
So I'll throw it out for discussion.
And I also forwarded off this morning the 2 letters that we did receive. They weren't from town
Yeah,
residents.
Right.
But I still sent them out, because they weren't
As
in time
background.
for the
The
package.
package,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we saw the comments that Councillor McDonald circulated and also from you,
And our public input today.
Councillor Stackowski. So that was great. Some good material.
I think, yeah,
Yeah.
everybody made comments.
Everybody
Yeah.
had stuff that was submitted.
And I think the whole thing's been sent off to the environment committee, which was
Not-
another
has
thing,
it?
or-
No,
Well, no, because the environment committee, we've just passed it. Yeah.
And my last comments in relationship to this was just that they tabled the legislation already without
An answer.
an answer from the
But they
mayors. and
withdrawn
board.
legislation before.
Yes, but I
so-
just wanted to note that that's already been tabled even without anybody responding.
So NFFM are proposing a joint response. Is that how council wishes to go?
I think it depends what the response is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but are we generally in favor
I
of
think
working
the
on
more voices
something?
together, probably the
Yeah.
better, and especially because it's unlikely that mining activities would occur within the border of the town, but we would want to support the surrounding areas to us.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a very blanket request without a lot of details, and I think a lot of us in what we sort of put forward were, before we would even consider some of that, we would want a lot of questions answered.
So she is saying we will reach out as we have further information. So should we simply respond by saying, yes, we're looking forward to the further information? Or how do you wish to
The
respond?
only letter of support I think I could support right now would be going to say to NSFM, we support the idea of having a group
Joint.
response.
Yeah,
But I certainly don't think we're in a position to provide any kind of letter of support to the minister. of-
no, and from reading between the lines of the president's message, pretty clear. So, okay, so we're in favor of further research on the subject with, and looking into a joint response.
Yes, we
But
don't
not-
have enough
not-
information.
Not today, yeah.
Any response at the moment.
So do we have enough to respond on that score, Sandy? That's the response?
Well, the response is just going to be to NSFM. that
Yeah,
we're
For an
waiting-
SFM, exactly.
Waiting for further
Yeah,
engagement from them.
okay. To an SFM, and we'll argue about who writes the letter later. So, good. Okay, thank you for that. Then season update, well, we got the update already, so we worked out, this is a very complimentary agenda. People must have got together and figured out how to make it really efficient.
I think it's worth really again, acknowledging how incredible it is that we're here this year, when you think of where we were last year on this
Yes.
topic.
Yeah,
And yeah, and even the pool operator, I forget the title of that,
Yeah.
is being sorted out with the
Yeah.
county, which is
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, and it's a really wise approach to it, really.
Yeah. yeah, I think so too. That was the first question I had about that position was, why wouldn't we team up with all of the other pools?
Exactly. We're all in the same boat.
yeah.
To use the analogy.
Yeah, well, a water analogy, it's perfect. The only question I had about this was, so their request, does that just go into our budget discussion and we don't
Yeah.
have to do anything with this right now?
No, if you're okay to refer that to budget, that would sort.
It's already in the budget.
Yeah, okay, that's all I needed to know, where it
Yeah.
landed.
No, isn't it nice that things just fall into their pigeonhole?
Yes.
Magic, magic, magic.
Magic.
Okay, having concluded the business part of this agenda, I guess, can we tell how many people are on, YouTube?
And just.
I should have someone else saying that word, YouTube.
We have. Three. Currently, well, mine says currently one, but I'm not looking at the
Anyway,
live.
whoever you are, thank you
Yes.
for being there. Thanks for joining us, and we'll wish you a good night.